anyway, thank you so much for having us here, Sorezu. It is a joy to be here with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. I am happy you guys are able to be here and talk through this. And I'm having some internet issues, guys. So if things are slow, it should come back. Everything in OBS says green, which is pretty cool, but it just says connecting to chat, which is awesome. So let's keep let's keep going. Vivid. I know you've casted For Honor before. You've done a lot of stuff with them. Is there any other games that you cast, or is it pretty much just For Honor?
Nope. For me, it's just like For Honor is the thing that I've kind of been doing ever since I started casting, and it's something that I've always been doing on the side. It's never been like, unlike these very talented folks that you have here today. It's not something that's kind of been a mainstay in my life. I'm I'm a software engineer, so doing something like this kind of breaks up the monotony of doing that. So kind of helps me work on like soft skills and gets me to do the stuff that I would necessarily not be in my comfort zone, but I've enjoyed doing it since university. So it's something that I try to carry on no matter what job I take. I always tell them that I have like this thing that happens part-time, and make sure that my contracts aren't like super weird in the sense that they don't let me do this sort of stuff. So it's like something I really do enjoy doing, and I do it more because it's a passion now instead of I want it to be a career, because I enjoy doing it and meeting new people, going to different parts of the world and stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool.
So what you mean is you're a real person with real skills.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it. You know, I'm not called For Honor Vividnaz. I might name change to For Honor Vividnaz and join in the Cap and SirActionSlacks there. But for now, I'll stay as Vividnaz for now.
Gotcha. So for the most part, it seems like there's a MOBA theme between everybody. So did you guys feel like the casting experience you had with MOBAs helped with For Honor? Did it feel MOBA-esque to you or no?
I think a little bit. I think the aspect, I think it's mostly the team fight aspect of people having different roles and the coordination and teamwork that's required between the team. I think that is MOBA-esque, and that is something that that's kind of why I think they brought us on, was that they thought MOBAs was the easiest jump over. So, yeah, I think it definitely helped.
Okay.
Yep, agreed. I think that really, especially in the Dominion game mode, it is kind of similar with like creeps walking towards a lane and different objectives and stuff. But that's from first impression, I was like, yeah, oh, yeah, this is basically a MOBA, and then it really was something different when you get past that initial surface level. But either way, yeah, Cap's right. I think that's why they hired us.
Yeah, it for me, it's always been tough to describe the genre of For Honor, except for a medieval sword swinger, because it's not really a fighting game, but it has fighting game elements. It's not really a MOBA, but it does have some MOBA elements. So I don't know what the devs intended for the genre for it to be. I always just call it a medieval sword swinger, because that's as close as it'll get for me. It's a very unique game, which I think is why a lot of people have stuck with the game despite some of the problems that it's had over the years. Because there's not another game out there like it. I mean, there's close, like Mordhau is close, which is based off of like Chivalry, Mountain Blade, and stuff like that, with that kind of combat style, I should say. But there's nothing really quite like For Honor, and it's addicting. I don't know how. I know you guys have played some, but I don't know how much you played in your time leading up. But it's an interesting experience. I really hope that they continue to make games like this. So I think we can just jump right into the first topic, which we're just going to talk about the Dominion series. And I just wanted everybody's overall impression. And Vivid, I wanted to start with you, because out of everybody here, you have the most experience casting For Honor and casting, events like this. So I just wanted your overall impressions of the event from, as a cast on the side of a caster, from a spectator, like what you thought about it, how it went, etc.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting with this one, because starting off the Dominion series, I very much didn't really do much for it. I started off with the quick video segments just because I knew some of the players, and they were wondering if they could get a bit more insight into some of the lore of what was going on between the players. And I was happy to help out with that. At the time, I didn't really have that much free time to go all hands. We kind of tried to see what the casting experience would be like, but there was like a huge latency, and I really wasn't feeling too comfortable with it. And then eventually it progressed to the sort of map preview stuff that we were doing in the LCQs, and then afterwards it was to cast the actual finals, which I felt was a good experience. But my main thing, I don't know if this is a virtual thing, maybe these other guys can confirm or something, but main difference, of course, to me was the handling of the latency, and of course the feed not being the exact live feed that you were seeing. So there was always an inherent latency to what we were commentating to. So you kind of had to like angle it in a way that you weren't necessarily naming every single attack, because on the stream there was that slight delay that you would be sort of behind what everyone was doing on the match. But it was interesting. It was definitely the most official thing that I casted. Of course, we did do those seasonal events throughout For Honor, but they never felt like they were actual tournaments, apart from the Hero Series, which you know, it's like the one that shouldn't be named, but I think that's the closest comparison I have to what we did here, in the sense that it was a full production. There was a prize. There was actually comp players taking this super seriously, instead of just kind of, oh, this is just like a meme thing that we're kind of doing for a seasonal release. And it was good to have that back, especially in a game mode where I think a lot of the community felt it was the actual competitive game mode, and to see it finally come to fruition with the Dominion series was like a really good full circle thing for me, because I started off in the Hero series, one of the worst experiences I've had casting, and it was my first experience casting, to this, which is one of my most enjoyable experience, working with some very talented people, to the point where I was actually intimidated going into it. I was like, holy shit, these guys are like, they're actual casters, because up to this point it'd been willy-nilly me who'd just done this as like a thing that he kind of rose through the community doing. So it was awesome. I really enjoyed the Dominion series from a production standpoint.
Don't worry, we felt the same way. We were like, oh wow, somebody who actually knows For Honor. Oh dear.
Oh shit.
Oh no, we're exposed.
Yeah. So what about the rest of you? Like, whoever wants to go next, they can. Like, your impressions of the Dominion series as a caster, as a player, you know, the little experience you have. Like, what was it like?
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was gonna say it was dope. I only started playing, I think it was like maybe a month before the first Dominion series that we cast, and I'm still playing this game like usually like once a day, like or in the evening. Like, it's a really fun game, so like I'm hooked on it. Dominion mode, I think, is like really fun. Like, capping the points is in so many of our favorite games, but you take it like into the melee realm with like your swords and axes, and it's like, I love how bloody the game is. Like,
Yeah.
the executions are sick. You can tell like all the animators had a really good time, and continue to do so. And then I love that there were the competitors, like specifically, like if you look at like Nemesis, like they were like undoubtedly just like fucking gods at the game, but there was like really deep history of competition between like all of these EU players, or that's what I looked at more. The North America did too. But I was like really, I was stoked on that, because you instantly had some storylines and rivalries to dig into, and that's the makings of like a really fun broadcast. And so I think that's what it was all about. So yeah, I liked it.
I will say that one thing
Don't
that
interrupt me.
fine.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Cap.
no, the host can go.
No, please, capitalist, please.
You son of a. I will say
bastard.
that I enjoyed casting Dominion series. It was actually a lot of fun casting For Honor in general. But the one thing that I did notice that I wasn't like the biggest fan of was the fact that some games felt relatively snowbally.
Yeah.
So the fact that like with the feats building up, would it like what it felt like that one team fight is one, then all of a sudden you've got tier 3s, tier 4s, and it snowballs from there. I think if they just were able to find a way to balance that out a little bit more, or make some sort of comeback mechanic to that, the game would be really fun to watch, because I think it's quite good. It was just the repetition of it. I noticed it was just like very often. It's like, oh, okay, we can kind of see where this is going. Fortunately, Dominion series did have some sick like late game situations, but more often than not, especially in the qualifiers leading up to the finals, there was like just Okay, well, you can kind of see where this is going.
Yeah. Yep.
Just in general, I think that the show wise, because I like making esports shows myself. I think that it improved every week, which was really good. I think the first week it just had a bunch of MOBA idiots and Vividnaz doing one video, who no one knew anything about For Honor, and then we brought in more and more talent. I did a lot of research on different content creators in For Honor. You guys have like your very, very angry lore guy. I don't know what the fuck his deal. Oh, excuse me, bad language. I don't know what his deal is, but there's some guy who talks about For Honor lore, and he's just so angry every episode. It cracks me up. He's literally just screaming about how he hates it and he hates himself. But you got some good community members like Freeze. I like his YouTube channel a lot, and that was one of his main criticisms of our first week was nobody in here knows For Honor. So
Yeah.
I think they improved a lot by having guys like Vividnaz, and I guess Sorezu came in too. He was okay. But no, you were great too. So that's what it should always be. It's okay to have other talent come in. I think to like add a little bit of their spice to a scene, but you got to have people that love the community and are passionate about it. So I think they did a great job on that. Gameplay wise, I think my favorite part that could use some help is the map selection. I mean, what's so cool about For Honor is that there's all these different maps which might highlight different play styles.
Mhm.
And some of the teams, with the map selection that they got, we just kept seeing the same thing over and over again. I think it'd be kind of fun to force them into different maps that, might not be their forte and see if they can win those maps they're not accustomed to. But overall,
There's only 5 competitive maps, right?
Yeah,
That'd be
the
cool
problem
like,
is
if they added a lot more to that.
Yeah, like
map is so bad.
Yeah, it's like there's like 5 or 6. But yeah, the map pool is pretty low, and the reason, like, we just try to keep it to where there's how you win the game is going to be based off of your skill, like in whether that's in rotations, whether that's in ganking or team fighting or anything like that. These other maps, like one of the maps that is somewhat close to being a competitive map, but is just a meme right now, is Sentinel. And the reason for that is they have ballistas on either side of the map that does 60 damage to somebody if they hit. If those ballistas were gone, it actually would be not a bad map for competitive. But it's the ballistas are there. So
yeah, I think I gave a rant to Humanist when we played For Honor that I feel that ballista should just be kind of like removed from the game. I think it's
whoa,
honestly,
dude.
I said this on broadcast as well. I really hate them. There is no fun. It's not fun using them. It's not fun getting killed by them. And at that point, why is that a game mechanic? You know what I mean?
Whoa, bro. That goes against the lore, you fucking scum. I cursed again. I apologize to Retsu, but that's against the lore. Okay, you can't do that. That's lore strong right there.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I think it's fine that there are some maps that are more geared towards that. I would love to see a system like they implement in Smash, where I don't know if you guys play Ultimate or have played online Smash, but there's the stages are how they were previously made, and then you can have an Omega version, which is just like a flat stage, and that's considered more competitive. It would be nice to have something like that would just remove like ballistas or or fire spikes, stuff like that, which doesn't really show who's a better player. These other maps do, where you have to have good rotations. There's some ledges, but there's not as many. High Fort is, I don't think, in the competitive rotation as much, but that's where the most ledges are. But still, people who have superior team fighting or rotations, especially on that map, are going to win the game, not necessarily who gets the most ledges. So, yeah, I would love to see a higher map pool.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah, there have been plenty of maps, and not even just like fire or anything like that. We saw this a little bit in Dominion series, where people would just run around pillars as the way to stall for a rotation. And in a competitive setting, is exactly what you want to do. It's like, I'm in a 1v1, I shouldn't be here. I'm gonna wait for somebody to gank with me, so I'm just gonna run around until I get hit or get put in a situation where I have to lock on and fight. Like, it's an annoying thing, and it used to be a lot worse. But yeah.
Well,
okay.
A competitive player will always exploit any advantage that they get to win a game, and that's nothing wrong with them, in the sense that we literally had a whole tournament based on this 2 years ago, where stuff was so overpowered that if you just didn't use it, you were at a disadvantage.
Right.
But it made for a horrible viewer experience, and I think some of the map designs, Citadel Gate is one of my favorite maps, but then you have those pillars in point A, which people can just kind of run around in, and all of a sudden you kind of favor this design where you just want these points to be completely clear, especially zones such as A and C, and hopefully we get to see, if there are more additions to the map pool in For Honor, hopefully we get to see a bit more maps which don't kind of rely on these cheese pillars to kind of stall down points until you get reinforcements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. There are definitely aspects, at least from a competitive standpoint of the game, that kind of hamper, like you said, the viewing experience. Competitive players are going to adapt and do what they have to do to win.
Exactly.
But it's, if you're wanting to make the game into an esport and continue to do Dominion series and everything like that, it's got to be fun to watch. And to Cap's point, I totally agree. Like, some of these maps that people would pick are so snowbally. Like, we saw a ton of Sanctuary Bridge, which I was kind of surprised with some of them. I didn't think we'd see it as much, but that's the most snowbally map in the competitive rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wins the first couple team fights wins the game pretty much. And the teams that are really good at team fighting are going to pick it every time. And it's not. Yeah, and I agree. It's not necessarily the best viewer experience to do that with, or to watch. So, I wanted to talk also about eStars, because I've never worked with a production company ever. This is my first time. It was cool to see them work. So, what were your guys' impressions of them? Like, from my very inexperienced eyes, they did a really good job. Everything flowed really well. I didn't feel like I was ever in a panic. I thought it went well, but I'm inexperienced, so I mean, how did that for you guys? How would that aspect of the cast and of Dominion series go?
eStars is great. I think they always do like a really top, like very very high level production, and all the people that I've ever worked with them are always really competent. So they're great to work with. I don't really get to work with them very often. They were in Dota with their WSOE events, and then this is probably the second time that I've worked with them. Great guys. They really understand broadcasting really well.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to make a broadcast like this when you're not like entrenched in that community, and that's what separates like good broadcasting companies from bad ones. You'll have guys that like try to, get into it and be like, "Oh, I bet they'll think this is a neato meme," but the good broadcasting companies like eStars, they just talk to people from the community and try to build shows around it and take their like feels. So yeah, I think they did a fantastic job. It's very, very interesting how good they are actually at being able to bounce throughout communities and put on good shows.
And I
So,
think a testament to that as well is how much the show progressed and changed during the
yeah.
actual tournament itself, and it just shows the flexibility that eStars were willing to do. And they weren't stubborn in the sense that they thought they were immune to criticism or feedback, and they took the feedback on board. They made changes to the show, and I feel by the final they had the best show that we had to offer in the Dominion series.
I will say one thing though. Ubisoft, if you're listening, on your official Twitch channel, you have to be a follower for 24 hours. What kind of sicko is showing up 24 hours before a tournament and signing in so that he can put memes on? Don't do that garbage. What are you doing over there? Not eStar's fault, but come on there, Ubi. We got to get some memes in the chat, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that was a bit of a yikes when they didn't allow that actually.
24 hours? I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, Ubi. Anyway.
Yeah. So Humanist, what about you with eStars? What was your experience with them, and as a production company, how did you think it went?
eStars is really easy to work with, and I've had fun every single time. The producers and directors that were working the show we were on and that handle most of the shows they do are really experienced and come from traditional sports background with Fox Sports. So they've done stuff like Monday Night Football, even some Super Bowls, and a lot of stuff in between. So I think for them, like over the last couple of years, they've been adapting to esports. They got brought in like with this really traditional background, and it's great to see like how far they've come and adapted. And like I think you guys mentioned, how willing they are to dig into the community and make like the broadcast a little more personal. But yeah, never like hanging back to like take on a challenge. So they're always looking to like just push the envelope and get better and better. And obviously, it's a remote broadcast with a lot of tournaments have to do remote broadcast right now, and so there's challenges that come with that. And so that meant we had to have like a little extra like setup time to make sure everything was like going well for broadcast. I had a bunch of glitches, so that's like really frustrating on my end, like crazy frustrating. And once I got it all worked out, like Comcast literally pulled the plug on me, so that was messed up. The only
Yeah, that was
thing
funny.
that was I was having real anxiety about that. The only like thing that really no, there's two things that really bugged me. The program that we use to communicate with each other and show our video feed is very low res. So for someone that's not like super experienced with the game, it's easy to overlook some things and some numbers. And you had to like input all these players' names like into your short-term memory and like what heroes they were playing because they couldn't always read like the name tags as I'm like casting the game. So that was like really frustrating. Um, Hopefully there's like a better solution in the future for that. And then just the final format, I was really bummed that there were matches that happened after the finals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had to re-download Skype. Ugh.
Ah!
Never mind.
God,
That's an
yeah.
awful tournament.
I was surprised when they said, "Yeah, do you have Skype?" And I was like, "Wait, is this 2008?"
That was a goddamn pleasure. I hate Discord. Discord's the only virus that your friends beg you to download for them. I hate Discord.
Wait,
I saw
why?
Skype come up and I said, "Welcome home, baby. Come back to me." Thank
I
you.
got messages from like 3 years ago. I was like, oh shit. They said, what's up?
Oh, I actually legitimately opened it up. There were 15 messages from my wife from like the last literally 8 years, like one every couple of years. That scared the shit out of me. One of them was just in all caps, "Come upstairs now." I was so frightened. 2 years ago. Anyway, yeah. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention that I do want to mention about For Honor competitive and the Dominion series is I think that any game that is like a MOBA should strive to have as many heroes competitively viable as possible. It makes the game a lot more interesting. It makes different scenarios a lot more interesting. A lot of what we do on Dota panels is talk about how, oh, here's a flex pick, and this is how it's going to change the game so much.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing that the game could certainly improve on, because I think the game's great to watch, but after you watch it for like 5 hours, you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what all people are trying to do, and let's see if they can do it. Whereas it could be so much more if every hero, or at least more heroes, were competitively viable. And yeah, that's on Ubisoft.
I think the biggest problem there is like when it comes to actual MOBAs is the versatility in the kits that these companies make are like way larger than any one role in the hopes that they could hopefully be flexed in different positions. So obviously I would use League of Legends examples, but I don't think I think the skill ceiling is much lower to a For Honor character than it is to any other MOBA characters that we'd see. And in the way that, a Dota player maybe can wield a different character in a way that people haven't really seen before, or in a way that makes him viable in a different spot. I'm trying to not use League of Legends terms because there's a lot of Dota people here, but
no, it's okay.
Yeah. My man's talking about hero flexibility and mentions League of Legends.
Yeah, what a great the hero ceiling of League, a slightly higher than Candy Crush. You fucking cursed again. Sorry, Sorezu.
Okay, guys, for everyone who wants to know, these guys have been harping on me for enjoying League of Legends.
It's true.
I've had to suppress a personality trait of mine. Okay, it's kind of hard here.
I just think like an example would be though, like Vividnaz, like if you have a hero that can just go into like a healing path or a damage path through their feats, like more obviously could play some of those surprise plays as long as they're both like viable and effective. And I know there's not a lot of heroes, so banning really is like a tough conversation. But there could be like fun ways to do that, like where like you could maybe have like 2 heroes banned in the first match, 1 hero banned in like the second match, or maybe just like 1 banned across the board. I don't know, but like if you mix it up, then you're gonna see different heroes come into play.
I think it's hard just because of how narrow what each kind of character fits into. compared to, let's say, okay, in Dota, you might be able to build a character's damage or tank, and then all of a sudden there's two completely different play styles. In the sense, in the pick order, if they pick this character, you don't know where it will fit into the team composition until much later on. And I think like you can't really do that with For Honor because everyone selects at once, and then there's not enough characters to be able to be like, oh, what are they hoping to do with this? And it's like the feats, yes, they add on something to the character, and they may add a slight variability in how it's played, but it's not enough to completely change the play style of the character, which is one thing that MOBAs have it plentiful and For Honor lacks a lot in.
Yeah, and there's all of the characters, at least for the most part, they all have unique feats that only they're gonna, or at least for the most part, only they have. And that's another thing too of why some of these characters are played. Like we saw a lot of Warmonger in the tournament, but there's another character that is very, very similar to Warmonger, and it's Warden. The kit is not quite the same, but the idea is basically the same. You have these bashes that are unreactable offense because there's 3 levels to it. You have some chase, you have quick attack to the zone and everything like that. But one of the main reasons that Warmonger is played over Warden is because of her feats. Her feats are just infinitely better than Warden's, and Warden is in the testing ground changes a few weeks ago had some pretty nice changes, but still would not be competitively viable because of Warmonger's feats. Like feats can really hold back a character from being competitively viable, and that's one of the examples. And part of the reason there isn't as much character diversity is just because the feats are so game changing that you want to always have the best ones that you can. And there has been some evolution in the meta. Like for how many years, Vivid, did we see Shaman being ran in every single competitive team there was that was actually successful and winning? It's like two years, something like that, 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, Shaman was like dominant since she was released, basically because of how strong she was as a character, and also the feats that kind of came along with her.
Yeah, and Warlord was really good in the beginning, and then hasn't been good for a while, but now has been good for quite a while. So there's evolution in the picks, but I agree. There's just not as much competitively viable picks. Like we saw Gladiator, which is very, very good in ganking, and I'm not going to go too much into Revenge and how that works and why Gladiator's so good. It would take a bit, but he does quite a bit. But we don't really see him as much because you have Centurion as the ganker or something like that. So you'll have some surprise picks here and there, like we saw from Missing Bones with Glad. But one of the big problems of the game is balancing at a higher level, and some of it does start with feats. Some of them are too strong.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, Slacks. Go for it.
Good news is that it's nearly impossible to do balancing without having like esports like competitions. I mean, you need people to show you what are the most broken things and how people are abusing it on a large scale to be able to do patches. That's like how MOBAs work. MOBAs would never have patches if it wasn't for like majors and things like that. So, and the other good news is that I do feel like all the For Honor characters are very unique in what they bring, but the feats are really the kind of the big issue. Like, there is zero reason not to have a Warmonger on your team just because her entire kit makes the entire game like 10 times easier. So, I think that's easily fixable, though, which is really great for the health of the scene. They just needed more events like this to show them, this is broken as hell.
Yeah.
Would you guys rather see Warmonger weakened or all the other weak feats dopified? Because I would way rather see like the other feats just get lifted up to the coolness, because I want to play like a fun, exciting game.
Yeah.
Wrong. Okay, that's called power creep. All right, you want to end up like League where everyone has a fucking dash? Oh, excuse me, Sorezu, I cursed again. You want to end up like League?
You want
everyone has a dash.
Warden's level 1 feat or whatever is like, I can capture this 10% faster.
Cool.
That's so lame.
It is like that's why you take come at me.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. None of you listen to Slacks when it comes to balancing.
Excuse me, capitalist?
Dota is notorious for power creep. That's
power creep.
You know what League of Legends players say when they play Dota? They're like, why are all these abilities so OP?
Yes, they're fun. They're like, you cast it.
So I agree with Humanist that you need to amp them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not aware that's what power creep meant. I agree with everyone else.
At least,
Like,
at
I
least
want you
like
to
amp
say
it up
sorry
and
to
then
me, like,
dial
the
it down.
community.
Sorry.
Yeah, I generally agree with the idea of boosting other people up instead of largely bringing stuff down. They did just recently. Is that Sohinki?
Oh my
Sohinki!
god! No,
Hey.
surprise visitor!
Let's go,
Let's
dude.
go.
I gotta change.
Sohinki.
I gotta change my title now. Give me a minute.
I don't
My
time
goodness.
zones well apparently.
But that
Sohinki's
is
well
okay.
versed in the time zone world.
What time zone are you in, Sohinki?
I'm coast.
Pacific. Okay, so you're an hour behind me. Got it.
So one, you just 1 hour.
I
Interesting.
Sorry,
Huh. Interesting.
No.
I thought when you're living the first thing in the West Coast, you assume that everyone else also on the West Coast in the entire world, actually.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah, I
I'm
definitely
struggling to
understood
hear
that.
Sohinki.
Yeah, your microphone's cutting in and out like
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's cutting in and out pretty bad.
Roger that. Roger, over.
But
Extremely unprofessional.
that's,
Thank you for coming, Sohinki.
That was the microphone. That was the thing, huh? But we got to figure it out now.
Perfect. Okay. So Hinky, we've just been talking about Dominion series, and we were talking about some of the criticisms that we had of the game is like there wasn't as many characters or heroes that were competitively viable. So after a certain amount of time, 4 or 5 hours, it kind of became really clear what the team's goal was, and it kind of got tedious to watch, and there wasn't enough. I didn't feel like there was enough map
I didn't say
rotation.
tedious to watch. What the? It was very nice. Please hire me again. E-Star Studio and Ubisoft love the product. Holy shit! Don't listen to this guy.
He's in the Dominion series for 1 week, and everything's tedious to watch.
Yeah, tedious.
Yeah, look at this guy.
Once you got
Trivial, some would say.
okay. To be fair, I am always been very critical of the game. So, and I Ubisoft knows that. So it's good. But I just kind of wanted your overall impressions of the Dominion series, and from a caster perspective, from a production perspective, just like overall, like what you thought of the game or what thought of the Dominion series itself.
Yeah, so I mean, when For Honor first came out, I always wanted it to be an esport. I think like a lot of people when the game launched, and it just wasn't there. Like we would do our best to hype up like the duel matches we were casting, and like one-on-one like warlords headbutting each other, and talk about people's timing and how the headbutts they were doing were like next level. And it was honestly, the game was just unfortunately boring to watch at the time, but we really like wanted it to be there. So I mean, I took a long break from the game. I kind of like was disillusioned with it, and then I came back specifically because I got hit up to cast, I guess, because of the duel series we had done. Man, like coming back to the game felt really good. I know like you're very critical of the game, but like from a person that didn't play it since 6 months after launch, like it's so like night and day. So
yeah,
it's cool to see the game in the state that it's in right now. I do think like having like gotten back into it and played a ton and like experienced what a higher level of play is like now, there are still clearly some problems. Like one thing people talk about a lot that isn't, people talk about it as an issue, but it's weird because it's in every other fighting game are like option selects, and I think it's only a problem in For Honor because there aren't necessarily enough offensive options too. But just coming from someone that's like just hopping back into the game, man, it was, first of all, it was really cool to see Dominion series like with such a high level of production value. I think that's like number one thing that everyone can agree on. It just like the production looked great. and the matches were fun to watch too. I think it settled into a meta, and I think it's easy from the perspective of people that play the game every day to be like, oh man, we're seeing the same 6 years. This is boring. But like someone that's just been back in the game for 2 months, the matches I thought were exciting. We had some like really good moments. I'm forgetting the player's name, the girl that was playing Nusha. That was like insane.
Mascot Dragon, I think.
Yeah, Mascot Dragon. Yeah. So to me, coming in with fresh eyes, like it looked exciting. The production was great. It was fun to cast. I mean, I definitely had to like dust off the cobwebs a little bit in terms of casting. Like I felt like much more comfortable the second time around. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was a blast, and I loved the event. But I mean, I guess talking about like high level meta and changes to me made to the game maybe is a different story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So then I guess we've kind of talked about this a little bit already. But if there was other stuff, like overall, what were some things that you guys would want to do differently? Whether that's from casting, from production, from like in-game stuff. I know we've talked about some of this, but what would you guys do different?
I can kick it off on my end. The only thing I would do, I mean, it's kind of a symptom of COVID, I guess, but man, it's so hard to watch. We're I mean, because you were part of the production, we're like watching the game on Skype together, and when there's any motion at all, it gets like, for me, I don't know, like if it was my connection or what, it got so pixelated, so it's really hard to like cast who was doing what. Sometimes there was literally one time where it was like I was like calling that Natron was involved in a gank, and then legit the camera immediately cuts to him not even on the point, and I was just like, oh no.
I think there's a lot of moments like that, especially I maybe for next time, if there is a next time, is in the hopes that we would kind of expect it to kind of be on the spectator mode ourselves, because what we saw there was super pixelated, choppy. I basically relied on kind of knowing where everything was and kind of knowing the players, etc. But like I definitely know it was like a struggle for you, Sohinki, sometimes, and from what I spoke to Humanist as well. And like another thing was like the tournament format kind of killed its own hype for the last game of the day, where it should have been the most hype game, and we were all of a sudden talking about third and fourth place instead of first and second. And I think For Honor is a very, the matches are very quick. They're kind of decided very quickly. And I feel like a best out of 3 is just doesn't work for Honor. It works for MOBAs, but I think you need to go like best out of 5. And then when it comes to the actual finals themselves, like best out of 7, because that's where you actually get to see a lot of the back and forth, especially when teams have played with each other a few times. And MOBA's a game can go for like 40-50 minutes, but in For Honor, hitting 15 minutes is going to be like something mad's going on here. So I'd hope that they look at those again.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. I think best of 3 and 5 is like good, but I think best 5 and 7, like obviously you get to see like people's adjustments a lot more. This is also a topic of discussion a lot in the fighting game community with other fighting games too, which is why like you see like when players really want to like test their mettle against each other, be like, all right, we're doing a first to 10, like because then in 10 games, that's when you really see the adjustments come into play. But tournament format, I think it's like sometimes it's a question of time, like how much time do we really have to run this tournament in a day? Anyone?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me was the very weird tournament formatting. It was just very weird to have the finals be determined and then doing a third and fourth place match.
Bro?
Yeah, the honor match. What did they call it? You called it the honor match. What did they call it?
Consolation match.
Consolation match. Yeah, I don't know who came up with that.
The hypest thing in the world, consolation.
Oh, yeah, the consolation.
Yeah. Hell yeah! I mean, I think it's part of the tournament format, and usually in Dota we use GESE all the time, but you just make someone play 2 games in a row, and that's kind of like the punishment for being in lower bracket and still making it to the finals. You have to survive that game, then immediately go into another one. To me, that seems fair, especially in a game like For Honor, where you guys said we were having like BO3s. I mean, it's like what 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It's not like a MOBA where you've spent 5 hours just playing against a team and now you have to buckle in for another 5 hours. So, yeah, I think that could have been better. But at the same time, I don't know. I think that doing it like that can work if there's a reason for it. Like, not just for second and third place prize pool, but one team is instantly invited to the next tournament. But yeah, you guys are right. The hypest thing should happen. Grand finals, last thing. So it's all good. If we got to kill one of the teams, if one of them were destroyed and we saw their players be thrown into a pit of fire, it would have been pretty hype.
Right.
But just for second and third, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Go
I
ahead.
think the way that other tournaments solve it is like they make it a true best of, or not best, a true double elimination where it's like grand finals, like the winners have to lose twice, essentially. Like you have to lose 2 series to be knocked out.
I always think that's weird.
It's definitely weird, but it makes sense kind of, because otherwise, like, I know, like, coming from the Dota world, I think like the punishment essentially is that the structure is that you play more matches to get to the finals if you get knocked down to the losers bracket, right, Cap? But in fighting games, it's just like there's just that attitude of like, oh, I have to get knocked down into the losers bracket no matter what before I'm knocked out of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, formatting definitely was an issue. What about Cap or Humanist? What would you guys say you would do differently, or has it all been pretty much covered for you?
I think it's all been covered. I would say no best of fives unless there are more viable maps. I would not want to see. That's the only part I enjoyed about best of threes was the fact that there was a chance to be able to see different maps. But then we went into the finals and there was only 5 maps available. So
right.
I would say if they can make more maps competitively viable, then best of fives would be more interesting.
Like I don't know the right answer. I totally, everything you guys said is what I agree with, like on the Skype issues and then the formatting. But just like as far as like seeing different heroes, like it's got to happen whether through balancing or through tournament format. And like the stupid idea like I come up with is like if it's going to be a best of 5, like you allow like 2 heroes to get banned like in the first match, 1 in the second, or like 2 in like the first couple matches, and it just forces different heroes to be viable and played. And if you can't, then you just get whooped.
Yeah. I spent 90% of my time researching playing single player as Raider. That is not helpful. Raider, where is he? It's bullshit. All right, make top priority. Raider needs to be in the game, or the woman screaming Raider. It's just not worth my time.
Well,
you want to know a bit of trivia? The single player runs on the first iteration of the Art of War, like the combat style.
Yep.
So there is no patches or balances to any of the characters.
Oh,
so
I'm aware.
The oldest edition of all of the characters in For Honor, and it's the worst.
It was cool. I'm aware that it was never updated. What I'm saying is the amount of memes has been very much diminished because of it. We could make a single volcano reference in the entire fucking show. All right, that's not right. It's not right.
I told Slacks early on, he was like, all right, I'm going to start playing this game. I was like, hey, don't play the single player. It's outdated. You have to play multiplayer if you want to get to know the game. Yeah. And he's like, but the memes, bro. Anyway, that's who Slacks is. He's got to do it for the lore and for the memes.
Oh, the single player is so bad.
It is. It is.
What would you guys think? And this is something I was thinking about. What would you guys think if it was just like true single hero pick? Like it was truly just, I think to me it makes sense because there's so many mirrored feats. Like people like other than obviously like Warmonger, like the reason if you run Warlord and Shaman that you don't get 2 Fire Flasks because that's not, but like both characters have the option to get Fire Flask, So I to me, I'm like, people, especially like the high level players talk about, oh, the reason we pick this character is the feats. So like, why not have true single hero pick? Because there's multiple heroes that have those feats, so that part's not unbalanced. And then like, I'm sure like the meta would develop from there, but that would be a way to see more heroes for sure.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't mind something like that. I think the biggest problem is there's just so few heroes to do that. It's like a draft would be cool, like you see in League, or I'm sorry, I don't watch Dota tournaments. Please don't crucify me.
League.
But but like how there's drafts on both sides and both teams, they'll ban a certain amount, and you draft like something like that would be cool. I just don't think there's enough characters as of now to do that. There's how many is there? There's like 25.
I thought it was
Some
something like 27.
yeah. Somebody smarter than me, please tell me because I don't remember. Which is a decent amount, but out of all of those, maybe like 6 or 7 of them are actually can be played in tournaments, and like 4 of them are optimal.
Well, get the good ones then.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is, so the reason that I think banning and stuff is cool is like you say, like 6 characters are viable. It's like, okay, well then what happens when I first ban Black Prior?
Yeah.
Like it opens things up quite a bit. It's like, well, I'm banning Black Prior, and then they respond and they're like, cool, I'm banning Warlord. And then it's like, okay, well, which character do we want? Like then like you might see Conqueror and stuff like that. So I think like that that's why bans are cool in a lot of those situations. And that's why it's interesting. Like in like a long tournament, people like a lot of times people like automatically first ban this thing because it's so powerful. And then this team has this strategy where they're like, okay, we're not going to ban this thing because if we don't ban it, then they're going to have to ban it. And then that opens up a pick for us. So like the drafting becomes much more of a strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea for sure, and I think it would obviously force people to play new characters. I don't know if I know in scrims the top competitive players. I mean, they mess around with the rule set, like so the rule set of only having 1 tier 4 that was from multiple scrims, and the top competitive players saying, okay, when we do scrims, you can't duplicate any tier 4s, and then local community tournaments picked up that rules, and then it was in Dominion series. So I know we've tried it without feats, and the game was terrible without feats.
Yeah.
It was in Dominion.
I believe it.
And then we did I think for a short stint we did do character bans, and that went okay. I don't think it was as
Well, we had those times where something would be so broken that just wouldn't be allowed in a tournament. I can't remember, but I remember one of them being like Shigoki at one point. Wasn't allowed to compete in a tournament. I can't remember. Was it Oni-Charge? I really can't remember.
Yeah, Oni-Charge would knock people down. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in the days of the what
Cypher
people call it, the yokai hit, the double hit, where all the unlock stuff.
Oh yeah, there was also the plunge attack where you could just do kind of a plunge attack from anywhere and instantly kill someone in 1 hit.
Warden,
I remember that.
Warden had that.
Dope. Hell yeah.
Yep. You'd get a guard break, and then you'd input a top heavy, which is not guaranteed on guard break, but it would hit, and it would be a plunge attack, so it would just one shot everybody. It was hilarious.
Cool.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. I think for future Dominion series, I think it would be nice to have something like that. I think forcing it between some balancing on the side of Ubisoft, plus like maybe some tournament format changes would be good. So is that something for like the next Dominion series? Because Ubisoft has said that they want to do multiples in a year, or another Dominion series at least. So what are your expectations for the growth of the Dominion series for the next one? What are you guys looking out for if you were to participate in it again, or if you were just to come back to watch?
Again, I think more community involvement is really great especially for products like this. I think probably the highlight of the entire show was when Clutchmeister was on it, and giving some feedback for that and all that jazz. So more community stuff. It would be great if we had more viable heroes, but that's really on the game dev, so can't really talk too much about what Dominion could do better for that. Let's see. Yeah, change of bracket for sure. But overall, I think if they just did the same show with minor tweaks, it'd be just as good as this time. I can't think of too much.
I'd love to see like some in-game reward for your team winning. Like you get to choose like your
Yeah.
team from the region, and you get like some armor if they win or something dope like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 Hype.
Yeah.
Cosmetics, eh? That's what it's all about. It's all about the steal. Right?
Yeah.
You just gotta improve the game mode. Talk about hats.
Yeah, like executions are like an effect that just had like the logo of the team that won a Dominion series for EU or NA or something like that, or a color palette or something like that. Like I totally agree. That would be something that I think would be, because it would leave an impression on the game. Yeah, it would leave an impression on the game because that's going to be in there forever, right? So if you have that, then you're basically that your performance in that tournament is immortalized in a way. It's in the game. It's like, yeah, you get money. I mean, that's super cool. I mean, there's always going to be a record of it, but like, when people can see it in game, I think that's super cool. I totally agree with that.
Slippery slope, gentlemen, okay? Imagine if Uwu Gang won, and there's people running around saying Uwu all over the place, right?
Yeah.
That's very disturbing shit. You gotta be careful about that.
There's already like the Just Dance emotes and stuff. Uwu Gang would fit right in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would be
Disgusting.
far from what they've already produced.
Absolutely foul.
There's that like jazz hands thing when you win the game or whatever. You know
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uwu.
Okay. So Caps, what about you? What would your expectations be for growth for the next Dominion series if one does happen?
Honestly, I can't really think of a whole lot to improve on the production or the tournament. I guess it would be nice to be able to see a few more teams. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of GSL format, so if you could have a more spread out, maybe double elimination, maybe single limit, but just more teams. That might be interesting, but I don't really have a whole lot to improve on the product as is.
I'm hoping COVID dies enough that we get cross region. And then
yeah, like an actual LAN would be cool, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's not really something that they can improve on right now. I think I'm kind of with Cap on that. Like to me, like the actual product, the production, I thought was great. Yeah. Casting on my side, maybe a little better next time, but we'll work on it. No, but for real, I do think that it looked great, and I think it was great for Honor in general. Like it's always nice when something that polished comes along for your game that you're hoping to like have more people come in and play. Yeah, I think just like continue like on your guys' side, on the competitive side, especially like continue messing around with rule sets. Maybe like if UB's slow, because they are slow to do balance changes, I've heard. Like just play around with how you can get more heroes involved, and like I know like right now is the time to experiment. So it's like, well, let's try with only single picks, like true single pick and that kind of stuff, and then like see how that works out. I feel like that would be an interesting way, because like the game has to be exciting from a spectator side for it to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So, while it didn't really hit me that the meta was like super locked in as much, I'm sure longtime players were just like, ugh, BP Warlord again,
Yeah.
Oh, Warmonger in every game.
I think that was a common thing that you saw on the Twitch chat as well. I was like, oh, can't wait to see Warlord, Blackfriar, Centurion, and whoever else against the mirror matchup. And it is right. It's a fair criticism, and like true single pick probably a good way. You might have like Nemesis put in a tricky situation. Do we want Barak's Warlord, or do we want Thingy's Warmonger? Like which one are we going to select? Which one we're going to drop? And it introduces like a whole sort of meta game on top of it, and then at that point they might have to reflect their choices for the next match and be like, okay, we might drop the ball giving away this character because this guy was much more proficient than the pick that we made, and maybe Sohinki's onto something. Maybe people should try and talk about that and see what happens. I don't know if there's enough viable characters to do that, but it's definitely something that can be tried.
In terms of tournament format, this is like a little way off topic. We had like all these wacky ideas back in the day because there's like so many game modes and stuff where like we would be like, okay, so you have a team of 4, right? But the way it works is you pick your best, every team picks their dueler right at the start, and so the first match is you have a duel. Okay, this is the first match of the series, and then whoever wins the
Hell
duel
yeah.
gets to pick the next game mode that you guys are playing, and then it would be like a best of 7 series. So it's like starts with a duel, and then whoever wins that is like, okay, we're going to tribute next, like just to throw that out there because no one plays tribute.
Right.
And cool. Then you do the tribute match, and then whoever wins that is like, okay, well, we just won the tribute. Now we're going to Dominion, and like it would like go like that. And
It's like a game of Fall Guys. Just rotate.
Sort of,
Yeah.
sort of. Yeah, we had all these weird ideas for tournament formats back in the day, but
That's great. That's hype.
yeah.
Yeah. I would love to see elimination tournaments back. Elimination was the mode I played. Duels and elimination was what I played the most when the game first came out. And now elimination is dead. Duels is, I mean, there are still duelists, but Dom is the premier mode. But I miss playing Elim. I liked it.
I always wondered how elimination just kind of died because it seemed to be a lot of people's kind of favorite game mode, and it's always something that people hopped onto when back in the day. But then I remember coming back to the game at one point, and someone was like, "Yep, yeah, no one plays eliminations anymore," and it's like you just can't find a match unless you stack an 8-man going into eliminations.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So funny because the game when it came out, like it seemed like Dominion originally was like, this is our esports mode. Like breaking just seemed designed for esports. And then like it didn't play out that way. Everyone just wanted a duel. And then they're like, all right, let's make this other mode called Breach. Breach will be such a cool competitive mode. Everyone's gonna love to play Breach. And then the Breach came out and everyone's like, I guess we're competing in Dominion. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the community went full circle on it, which I find hilarious. They were like, "Oh no, duels is the intended way the game was played," and then we moved over to twos tournaments. So like twos tournaments became really prominent. You had 2v2 brawl tournaments, and then we went full circle to the one that was suggested early on, Dominion mode. But you were saying Breach, but the problem with Breach is there's way too much AI interference. There's too much ballistas as well. Not a fan.
Yeah, Breach is a super fun mode just to kind of like go in with your friends and play the game. But as a competitive, there's a ton of problems at a competitive standpoint. It's so, depending on the map, it's just so favored in one side, attackers or defenders. Usually defenders, it's usually pretty favored for. So it's just rough. But I'd love to see Breach tournaments. For sure. I want the game to grow, I mean, Dominion's cool, but there's other game modes that could be explored, but here we are.
I've said this a lot. I'm like, if For Honor had released in its current state, it would still be a huge game. Like everyone would still be playing it. Like I think so many people have written this game off, and it's why so many people are like, man, when's For Honor 2? Like it'd be such a cool thing to have For Honor 2. And I think like For Honor 2
rebrand. They need to rebrand. I feel like the problem is you had a bunch of developers with a really good vision, and when you speak to them, you see this as well. They had a really cool vision, but it didn't exactly know in which direction they wanted the game to go. And I feel like the more time we've had better iterations of the game, better character creation, characters coming into the game, more play styles, a lot of good changes. But then at this point, the reputation of the brand is already kind of not tarnished, because a lot of people are like, "Oh no, For Honors, they fixed it." Or whenever I get asked, "Oh, it's that game, the one that had the 95% drop off," that headline within the first month, and I think they need to do like maybe even lose the For Honor brand at this point. If they keep this play style, lose the For Honor brand and just do a spiritual sequel somewhere.
Someone talked about the developers on For Honor. I think it was Light Boogie tweeted about it, that they should just have them make a Star Wars lightsaber fighting game.
Oh yeah, that's a no. If that doesn't happen, I will be so surprised if they don't get at least some of the developers on here don't get their hands on some Star Wars license. It'll be a massive shame, especially considering that Disney has opened up working with Ubisoft when it comes to the Star Wars license. It'll be if you remember the May the 4th be with you anniversary thing that we did in For Honor, where they had like lightsabers for every weapon. That was truly incredible. They needed to do that this year, but they didn't. I'm guessing probably Disney didn't like that they did it last year without telling them. But yeah, it would be interesting to see what they can do.
Yeah, I think it'd be very cool to have a Star Wars iteration. I have any of you guys played the game Jedi Academy? Old
yeah.
Star Wars game.
Yes.
If they made a Star Wars game, if Ubisoft made a Star Wars game with that lightsaber combat, I would drop every single game I play and I would play it because I absolutely love Jedi Academy. I still play it to this day because I'm pretty good at it still. And I think the combat is one of the most, it has the most depth in any Star Wars game we've ever had. And
But isn't that because the mod, the battle, what's it called, battle movies?
No, I'm not even talking about the movie battles mod. I'm just talking about the normal the base combat in the game is so deep. There's so much to it. I just want them to. I just would love Ubisoft to do something like that. But yeah. I don't know.
Well, Slacks can go ahead to speak to how easy Disney is to work with.
Oh, stop. Nope. I don't want to touch it. I'm good. I'm all good. Jesus Christ, Disney.
A lot of good experiences with a lot of people, seems.
Yeah. Good luck, Disney. Good luck, Ubi, if you want to do that. Enjoy the licensing.
Yeah,
I hope it turns out as good as the...
I think it was also a relief on EA's end that they didn't have to keep up with this exclusivity deal. Because there was something about, it kind of hampered them creating new IPs because they were constantly felt they were forced to make Star Wars, but then they would never own the stuff that they made, basically, and it was constantly a roadblocker with Star Wars and Disney. So I wonder how Ubisoft handles that, and I wonder how long the development cycles will be for like a Star Wars game, just because of the extra bureaucracy that happens with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, what if it was just For Honor 2 and they just said For Honor in space and that's all the marketing? And literally all the same characters. Aliens just kidnap them. Think about it. Think about it, guys.
I'm just wondering how a lightsaber fight would feel with the For Honor mechanics. Like, would it feel like the old trilogy? Like, would it feel too slow? Or
I would not. I personally would not want a Star Wars game with the For Honor combat. I don't think it would be all of that fun, especially after seeing other games like Jedi Academy that's like 15, 20 years old that does it so well. I wouldn't want to see it. Would I play it? I would, but I would be nowhere near as excited if it was just For Honor with For Honor mechanics with lightsabers.
Yeah.
Also, thank you for the raid, Clutch. I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
All right, so we've pretty much covered everything what I wanted to about the Dominion series. Is there anything anybody else wanted to say before we jump into the next topic?
No, I feel we definitely covered everything.
I think I hit all the bases.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was your guys' preparation, and I know Slacks kind of talked about this a little bit. With him, like he was watching different content creators. He watched Freeze. Which, a side note, you said that there was some angry person ranting about lore. Do you remember who that was? Because I don't remember. I don't know who this is.
I mean, type in For Honor lore. He makes a lot of videos. I don't know who he is. He's a crazy man. I watched his entire YouTube catalog for fun. He really hates the lore writer.
Oh my god! Wait, Toasty Rep 100. This guy, For Honor lore.
That guy. He's a weird one. He's like the social justice fucking scum. They're trying to rewrite the game. I'm like, oh my god, it was very.
For Honor lore explained. Yo, I'll save this. I'll bookmark this and I'll.
Guy's a goddamn nutcase. I had a great time watching that guy's channel. He's got real issues. But yeah, I bounced around a lot. Meme channels mostly because I'm not in for the competitive viability stuff. But yeah, I looked up some pro player channels from after I watched them play and watched some of that. That was there. They did stuff. But yeah, I think if you ever try to be, as I said, successful into trying to do a game that is not your homegrown, you got to just feast on community content. That's all that matters. So just trying to say, oh, I looked at the turn rates of shaman and very good. Like that's not going to do anything. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm curious about. Is what did preparation look like for you guys? I know Sohinki kind of has a background in this because he played it, in the beginning and has casted it. Vivid, obviously, he plays every other month, and he just goes ham when he does. So, for you guys who haven't played it, like what was your preparation coming in, and how similar is it to when you prep for the other games that you've casted?
Yes. Tell them about it, Viking wife. Tell them about our prep. My
Yes.
beautiful Viking wife.
Slacks and I just duo queued and lost a lot. That's about it. I mean, to be honest, it's like a game like this. When it comes to the fighting game aspect of it, it's too complex to pick up like all the data in time for casting. So in some ways, like I think it's just better to ignore that aspect of it and just get a grip of like what characters are being played, the feats, like the feats felt really important to learn, and then other than that, just like general game feel, just like building up personal experiences so you have anecdotes to be able to lay down. You have to be careful with personalized anecdotes, obviously, but for esports, because people don't really care about your garbage tier pub play. But
Mhm.
just a little bit is still good to have something to relate to the audience.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, for me, I just went on. I think the first thing I did, I went to Twitch, and I was just gonna see like the top couple streamers and just watch it and get a feel for like their attitude towards the game, the gameplay style, and then like how all the viewers interacted with like the streamer and the game. And then that kind of gave me an idea for like the vibe that like a lot of the community would like had in its Twitch streams. Went to YouTube, watched a lot of freeze videos, some like obviously just like the for beginners videos first, and then a couple like the minion videos and stuff like that, and then jumped into mostly solo queue matches. Got to play with a couple of these Viking wives for a couple
I
games.
was never invited to these sessions, guys.
Oh,
What's the
yikes.
Speaking of, I don't know who's gonna join me later and play some more, but we'll figure that out in a second. And then I looked at for team captains that were for like I was gonna try and reach out to more, but I only ended up reaching out to two, which was Clutchmeister and Totemind. Totemind was on pickup truck out of the qualifiers, and he's also a streamer. And I just had questions like for them about like the history, like of the game, their history with the game, like what the current state is, like what to expect, and like it was like, there were a lot of parallels between like Clutch and Toadmind. But then Clutch got in like a little bit deeper into like the history of like team splits and like all the different like heroes, how they've been good, and that was awesome because he helped me like so much. Not only understanding, I was a better player when we were done talking. So
Yeah.
that was really cool. Yeah. So and then also the tournament or eStars, who like produced the tournament, they did a little gathering for us, which allowed me to be a little more lazy than I normally would be. And there were some tidbits on most of the teams, like and some answers. So and I think Cap shared some info, and I think Slacks shared some info as well.
Yeah, I think when it's going into this sort of stuff, it's good that we have a community like the people in For Honor. Like, there's always people that will give you the time of day to understand whatever you want, and that's always been brilliant. Like for me, when I take like I'm on for a few months hiatus, and I haven't really been in touch with the comp scene, and I kind of need to before a tournament or before a cast. Like there's my go-tos like Clutchmeister, Brogla, or Zero Crack, Set Mix. Like there's always a bunch of people that I've known for years in the community that always help me to understand where we're at. And there's so many great Discord channels where if you literally just put down a question, someone will be willing to help you, will be willing to send you the links to great resources. And I think that's always been a testament for For Honor. It's always been like the thing that keeps me coming back is like, yes, there's a bunch of drama. Yes, there's always going to be drama no matter what community you're part of. But like with the For Honor guys and gals, I always feel like they always have your back if you need something, and that's always something I've loved.
Oh yeah, let me just say it was very refreshing experience talking to pro players that are like interested in sharing the game with you, being like, hey, this is what the game is about, and here's a whole shit ton of information about me and my team. Whew, Dota players, man. Dota players. So what do you do outside of Dota? I eat. Sometimes
I eat. I don't want to tell you.
Thank you. What do you eat? Oh, that's a secret.
Okay.
Yeah, the community was super warm, super welcoming. Even like the Twitch chat, which is notoriously hyper toxic, they even had a good time too. So very impressive community you got here. I guess you got all the saltiness beat out of you if you're still around. So makes sense to me.
I think you got
Diamond
lucky.
hands.
I think you got lucky.
Lucky?
I do. Yeah.
Have you ever met a Dota player?
I have. No, actually, I don't think I have.
The answer is no, because I don't go outside and they don't talk to others. So yeah, you haven't. No,
When
you guys
we
have
had
it good.
WSOE in Vegas, they all went out clubbing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not all of them. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of them went clubbing, and that person's no longer in the scene for their love of various clubbing. And
Mason was out clubbing.
All right, well,
I said Dota players.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
Just round it out. My no, go ahead if you had some.
I was just gonna say, like, for the most part, I think the community is good, but on Twitch, especially, like when I think it was Humanist, he said he went to the top couple streams to watch. That could be very risky because there are some interesting people who get a lot of views that have a very interesting outlook on the game. And so
I'm gonna need more than that.
You're so diplomatic.
Nope,
Yes.
nope, we're good.
No, I mean,
Anybody?
For example, there's one guy I went to, one of the top streamers, and he had to seem like he had a very negative outlook, like on the competitive aspect of the game and like the viability of the game.
Do you remember who it was?
Yeah, I think that's a common sentiment.
Sorezu's like, I need names.
I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but.
Don't worry, I'll type some names in Discord. I think I know what everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple.
We'll
be on to it later on.
I can't remember the name right off the bat, but he was like one of the top two. And I asked, like, are you excited about Dominion series? Like, no. I was like, okay.
Well, I guess I'll see you guys later.
But yeah, even in Twitch chat, depending on the streamer, I feel like if your overall experience with Twitch chat was positive, you were in some good streams because it can be rough. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Just to echo everything that everyone else is saying, I'm like, my preparation, like, because I did play the game a lot and I already had like a knowledge base, was like, I'm like, I just want to play the game again. Like, I need to see what's different. So I just started grinding the game quite a bit. But like the community really came through, honestly, in terms of like, I didn't even really necessarily seek people out. Like, I was gonna go to like Naz for like his knowledge on the game and stuff, but like I just started streaming it, and like so many players that we saw in Dominion series rolled through the stream.
Yeah.
Like some Chimmy's guys and Clutch raided my stream one day, and like the whole competitive community, like people were just popping in my stream, and I'd be like, man, why is this happening? Like, it feels like this shouldn't happen. And be like, oh, that's because, you know, he's doing like Zone OS. Like, I'm like, how's he reacting with Zone every time, you know? But like, so many people came in to just offer me knowledge, and like I was just able to, through playing, ask the community questions like, hey, like, what are the main heroes people are playing? Like, why are they picking this feat over this feat?
Yeah,
and that kind of stuff. So yeah, just echoing what everyone's saying, like the community, at least, like people talk about like, oh, For Honor so toxic, but my experience was the exact opposite. Maybe it's because I have my in-game chat turned off, but I'm like, you know, everyone in the competitive community,
the in-game chat. That part is it's literally, I think I told this to Humanist, and I told this to Sohinki when we play. It's one of my favorite parts is the in-game chat. Like the
hell yeah.
Of no matter what game I play, all chat is always on.
No. I figured out the tech, dude. I figured out the tech. I have my chat turned off, okay? And I just figured out the other night that F9 cycles through like the chats that you're in.
Yes.
So after I like 1v2 someone, I immediately cycle to all chat to see what they're saying. And then I immediately turn the chat back off.
Right, yeah. You hit them with it and then you just leave. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Sorry, I cursed again.
Yeah. Quick chat has always been my thing. I always spam WoW. I'm well known for complaining about stuff that's my fault and blaming other people, and I just do wow 3 times as quickly as possible, and people know why I'm doing it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Good fight.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think what Clutch is saying is true in the chat, and that's like that every competitive community gets toxic. So and so
Sure.
comparatively, For Honor, I think is like at least on the higher end, like the competitive players. Like I was playing against a 4-stack with Sorezu and like Deerbra and all these players the other night.
Yeah.
And like all of them were so nice, like they shit stomped us, and then afterwards they're like, "Hey, GG's, dude, that was fun. Like, hope you had a good time. Hope it wasn't too mean, whatever." Like, I don't know. People on the competitive side, in my experience, are just really friendly. So
Yeah, sorry about that, by the way. You kind of just got unlucky, if I'm being
that's
honest.
okay. We just kept queuing into you, and I was just literally, I don't know why. It's because I'm trying to rep up Peacekeeper. I just needed one execution to go to sleep, and I was on for an hour trying to do it, and we just kept running.
It's because you're playing. Yeah, PK doesn't get XDs all that often anyway. Yeah.
Do you guys think it's inherent? I know this might be a philosophical one. It's inherently because the For Honor scene isn't big enough for someone to go pro and only do the For Honor scene the entire time, and actually has to do other things, which necessarily doesn't feed into this toxic mentality of fostering this like toxic community when most of these people are probably either in university or working or doing something else and also pro and For Honor. Do you think that inherently has anything to do with why we feel that this is maybe slightly less toxic to other environments that we've been, exposed to?
For sure.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Having to be like a real person in the real world and like interact with people face to face. It's like what was it, Mike Tyson quote about like some of y'all are way too used to insulting people, not getting punched in the face. That's what professional gamers turn into. They turn into people who are who their skill at the game becomes everything, and they can do no wrong in some ways. They feel like they can do no wrong because they are just so good. But I would also say another thing is that probably the fact that the For Honor community has been so neglected, that it in some ways makes it that I think a lot of people were just happy, like that Ubisoft is back and that people were interested in stuff. So that's probably another reason.
100%, I agree.
Yeah. And it's since the Hero series, and especially the one with Alernican, where he won a tournament using unlock tech, because I mean it wasn't it wasn't intended to be like that, but it was in the game and had been in the game for a while, and Ubisoft hadn't taken care of it. So the competitive play
suggested this was a separate thing, which I think some people in the community know. We had a separate discussion saying that we shouldn't be able to use it in the tournament, and we were kind of pushing back that it should, tell the players if they get caught using it, then they're just not allowed to. They have to forfeit a match or something. And then they're like, no, it's fine. So it's kind of like I don't even blame any of the comp players. Like by all means use it, because there was a discussion spun up with them, and they completely ignored the problem, and later completely backfired and had them sort of, with a PR nightmare. Like, no one had cared to publicize anything on For Honor until the finals, where it was a complete shit show.
Yeah.
Where you had these articles come out getting so many views, so many hits, these videos all ragging on For Honor, and that forever kind of tarnished the stain of competitive scene. And it's not the players who caused it; it's 100% the organizers who were notified about this situation and were told that you should probably have some sort of punishment against this, and they didn't put anything.
Are you referencing the tournament where it was 9 hours of watching Raiders run at each other?
Imagine, you know what they say about trial by fire, where this was my first time ever casting. I hadn't even shown my face in public before, and I had to cast that where it was like 9 hours. Where
I think the tournament was scheduled for. I think the tournament was scheduled for 5 or 6 hours, and
yeah, no,
it ended up going 9 or. Yeah. You're right. It was like a full half of a day. It was nuts.
It was disgusting. Yeah. But anyway, that was my rant about if you don't specifically set out rules, then don't expect the competitive players not to
Right.
utilize everything that they can get.
Yeah, and they're gonna do that because they're in it to make money, you know, and they're gonna use what they can, short of cheating, to do that. And it wasn't cheating; it was in the game. It just wasn't working as it was intended. And the reason I brought that up is to go back to Cap's point about how the For Honor community has been neglected. And it's very, very true, because ever since that tournament, there's been such a drop off in a player base. It's not really, there's no press around it. It's kind of just after that, and everybody thought Alernican stole $20,000. There's
that was ridiculous. How
the
story was spun on Alernican, and all of these publications went after him.
Yeah.
And that was always the most egregious thing that I had ever seen from like the media as well. Because it's not. You shouldn't phrase it. You shouldn't pin it on. If you don't understand anything about the game, don't write an article that frames someone to be the bad guy when it literally wasn't his fault at all.
Right.
And through being like a community, like in the community for a while, I've seen a lot of these sort of fling pieces at people, and it's kind of made me realize that, yeah, you should probably try and get your facts straight before publicizing this sort of stuff, because it definitely did sort of fuck up the whole competitive vibe of For Honor for a while.
And it still happens. Like, I don't know if you noticed, there's a clip on the For Honor channel of somebody getting fished, which is just not Warlord crashing, charging somebody into a wall, and then if they do it correctly, it guarantees them getting ledge. It's called phishing. And somebody thought that was an exploit. They clipped it, and it was like, this is an exploit, or this is cheating or something. And it got a ton of views. It's like, this is not cheating. This is understanding the mechanics of the game and using it appropriately. It still happens. It's some of the dumbest. I mean, people think zone option selecting is cheating. Like, okay, man.
I mean, that's just people canceling others, all right? That's the fake news media putting that out there. No,
yeah, exactly. Cap, I did want to ask you, because I know at one point that you joined a For Honor server, Discord server, and basically just sat in VC with a couple of the pro players, and they kind of went over stuff with you. How was that in your preparation? And had you had something like that before?
Let me just say it was a very enjoyable experience. I had a pretty good time. But it did not help me prep whatsoever.
Okay.
Because the truth is that like 90% of it was just going right over my head. So,
gotcha.
I didn't have the groundwork to really be able to understand, because it's a bunch of competitive players, and some of them pro, like talking about the game. So that conversation wasn't really meant for me, I guess, in some ways. But it was still fun. I had a good time with all the jokes and stuff that was going around. But yeah, it was I thought it might help, but to be honest, it didn't really give me any broadcasting ideas, but that's okay.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. Yeah, it was cool to hear that. I heard about it, and I thought it was super cool that you were willing to be in there and, talk with them. And I was just wondering, did anybody else do something similar? Did they, like, I know you guys talked to different people, but did you like sit down with these?
Absolutely not. No, I don't want those fucking plebs anywhere near me. Get away from me, you
Okay.
dirty, disgusting players. No, I'm just kidding.
I just played I played a bunch of games with Scorpion leading up to casting. We were just kind of playing, though. We weren't really like talking too much about the game. I had a few questions here and there, but we were mostly just like duo and trio queuing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
I think building that rapport is good, because then you can always go back to these guys and say, hey, like, what's changed? Like, I'm casting a tournament, what can I improve on with my casting, or like what's changed in the game, etc. So I think even if, it's just good to continue to be involved and be part of Discords like that, because there's like in the Discord I'm referencing, there's a ton of pros in there that are very knowledgeable in the game and who are more than willing to help anybody.
I think opening up that doorway is actually pretty important from the caster to player relationship, because otherwise things just kind of go unsaid. They're gripes. you know, like because as a commentator, you are sometimes the judge of a player, and
Right.
maybe you say something that the player doesn't agree with. Maybe you call them out on a fault
Never.
that wasn't actually theirs. You know, so it's
Mm.
it's good to open that doorway just so
It's actually
they have a chance that they could talk to you rather than you know, talking to other pro players about how
Yeah.
this guy's a dick.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I know that there was a lot, or maybe not a lot, but there was quite a bit of criticism on you guys because you were guys were learning the game, and there were some things that you were calling out that just wasn't accurate, or was slightly off or something like that. Did you guys run into that at all? Like, or was it just you just kept no matter what, you just kept learning the game and talking with people?
Every day of my life, people think I'm
Honestly,
incompetent.
I mean, it's true. When you are
It is true.
incompetent,
I mean, they're not wrong.
people think you're incompetent. That's just.
But it's a common everyday occurrence that you have no idea how much it haunts me, my friend.
I mean, I'm sure that stuff's more on like Reddit and stuff, which I don't really go on. But like, I welcomed criticism on like my Twitter and like Insta, and like, I'm like, I wanted feedback, and I kept getting the feedback. It's like, hey man, no, you're doing great. Like, it was hype, whatever. And I'm like, I would love to hear the negative feedback because I do want to improve, and like, especially like, I don't want to be saying something that's incorrect.
Yeah.
But that definitely like goes back to what I was saying. I think what everyone was saying about the community earlier, because like my first reaction when they asked me to do Dominion series was like, man, there's got to be someone in the community that's like way more up on the game than I am. Like, I was surprised they asked me. I was kind of like a little imposter syndrome-y for me, where I'm like, I cast the series way back, but like clearly there's other people right now that are still playing the game. There's got to be people casting the game. So like Humanist was saying earlier, like I think it was really cool to get Clutch in there, and I hope next tournament we're able to have like more guest casters that are very knowledgeable too, because there's people in the community that have been grinding this game from the beginning that probably really deserve it. So
Agree there.
Yeah, and it's a good idea not to go on Reddit, by the way. Even the competitive subreddit really isn't all that much different than the regular subreddit. But yeah, I mean, and I tend to like, I talk with the competitive people and some of the people that are playing in the Dominion series, about my performance and like how they thought everything was going, and they all pretty much said the same thing, that everything went very well for the most part, and that there was just some gaps in knowledge, but that they understood that not everybody had played the game and that it was very easy to fix, and they saw the work that you guys were putting in to fix that, and it left a good impression on them. It left a good impression on me. So, and I know it's always going to be part of what you do for any game. You're going to take the prep and you're going to try and learn as much as you can. But with a game like ours, where, like Cap said, it is very, very much neglected, it was very nice to see that you guys put in the time, put in more time, to cast the game that we all love to hate to love.
That sort of thing goes both ways, right? It's like, okay, I want to do, like, I'm getting paid for this, so I want to put in the effort to make sure that I do a good job, or at least a good enough job that I can. And I talk to like some pro player, or like I want to get to know about your team, and they respond and they're super friendly and they're like giving me a wealth of information, that just makes me want to do an even better job to like accurately portray them in good light,
Yeah.
So that sort of thing just kind of like is a good cycle. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate all of the effort that you guys put in. For that was pretty much all I wanted to talk about in terms of, or there was one other thing I did want to ask about, was it enjoyable to do the research on the game, or was it more of a, like, this is just what I normally do for my job, and it was just, it is what it is.
Oh, it was a ton of fun. Yeah, being able to play it, being able to spam Warlord onto people and feel like I was good, watching games, playing the single player, super hype. I loved every moment of it, man. It was cool.
Yes,
Oh,
I watched
man.
Slacks hunt down the various lore, the little sparkly lore bits where they tell you a
Yeah.
little extra about a siege wagon and how that
Yeah.
operates.
The observables,
Like, be like, oh, the lore.
Yeah, I had a guy in the chat and he's like, I wrote this. I'm like, oh, good for you. And I forgot he was in there and I was like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? This is terrible. Yeah, things it was good and it was bad in some ways, but overall a delightful experience.
Oh man.
You know what always gets me is that like all of the characters like speak in like a native language, and then there's just like the random cutscenes before certain matches that are like, "Don't give up, no
Yeah.
surrender."
Right, yeah.
Well, okay, there's a lore explanation for that, all right? The Blackstone Legion is trying to unite everyone from a bunch of different factions to fight under them. So the Blackstone Legion does speak English, a common language, and teaches it to other people, whereas the normies, they don't. How? Now,
That's why we
okay.
have this guy on the show.
Take
That's
that,
why we have
Sohinki.
this lore guy.
I thought you
That was
knew about
retconned
For
later,
Honor.
but yeah, shut up, Sophie. You don't know, bro.
Dude, yeah, I stand corrected. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say the saddest part of the tournament was I thought that Griffin was gonna be in the tourney, so I spent like a sizable amount of time
Oh
researching
no.
him, including his lore.
Oh
And then
no.
my kid was born on the day that the second tournament happened, so I continued to research him for the final. And yeah, it was worthless, but a lot of great lore there, guys. In case you're wondering.
That's awesome.
He's
Hit up your
uniting the
Twitter.
finals, etc.
Yeah, I'll populate my Twitter with Griffin facts. People will really love that.
Our
Thank
Griffin
you.
facts.
For Honor lore for today.
Yeah. Humanist, what about you? How was your experience preparing for this, for the tournament and for casting?
Most of the prep was playing the game, so it was fun because I like the game. I think like it's tough because it's so complex. I mean, it's really not that complex. There is a complexity to it, but it's like very reaction based. Like you can't read people like if you don't know what's going on, and if you're just getting your ass whooped, it's hard to learn how to actually read people. So
Yeah.
like I played Warden, and then I switched over to Jormungandr, and now I'm playing Berserker. And like as I switch between the heroes, like you get just a different feel for like what kind of things are available in the game. Like I just started feeling hyper armor with Berserker, so that's really cool. And now I know that as I'm casting, I'll be able to pick that up and see like where that's coming into play, because I can see like that's really important when you're trying to get on top of someone. And then talking with the players was really great, just to feel their enthusiasm for the game, and then it helped get us prepped for a better broadcast, and that is just part of the job, but it was enjoyable.
Yeah, good. That's good to hear. I know it's been a while since we've had a production and this much being put into a tournament, so I'm always interested to hear like what that's like for you guys as a way of gauging like how successful For Honor will be, as if they want to continue this. And this is going to transition to the last topic where I wanted to we have touched on this quite a bit, so this can be relatively short, but I wanted to know your guys' opinions on For Honor's ability to become not necessarily a popular esport, but just like a viable esport in general. Like this is a game that I feel like could be very cool to watch, could be very fun to play, could have a lot of people watching and playing it. But I'm just curious from your guys' perspective and your years as casters, like what you think the potential of the game is to be an esport, what it needs, what it already has for it, etc.
All right, I will tackle this, and I will be super real. Okay. I think so when it comes to just game development, right? When it comes to these big titles, especially these like online social games, one of the biggest things is that they're basically two stages, right? It's the first stage is bringing in a bunch of people, and then the second stage is holding on to those people for as long as possible. You don't actually get that much outreach after, like, let's say 6 months, maybe a year or something like that, of like bringing in new people to the game. It just doesn't work. It's like it's what all of these current esports are going to have a problem with. Dota is like slowly declining. League of Legends and CS:GO are doing all right for themselves, but that's because they are the absolute top dogs. But like every single esport is slowly going to go on a decline. There are very, very few exceptions to that. Melee is like the best example of an esport that has actually managed to grow, and that is just, I think, in some ways, a miracle. But for the most part, esports has to like grab a whole bunch of people, and then maybe it can build up over a couple of years. But for the most part, there's just going to be new games coming out. There's going to be less of a player base to base your esport around, and therefore there's less viewers to be interested in the game as well. Again, like Melee is one of the rare exceptions to that, where people actually get interested in Melee because it's such a hype game. So the what For Honor really is going to need to succeed as an esport, it's going to need a sequel. That's just like the biggest thing that it's going to need. It's going to need a big, like, hey, fresh game here, get a bunch of people in, and then build your esport off of that player base. Because building up an esport from from the very, very low ground up is like, I think, terribly hard. You have to do it within the first year or two, basically.
It's happened though. It's happened. Look at Rainbow Six Siege. That game was fucking deader than a doornail, and they ended up getting an esport out of it.
I think Siege had the what's it called? It had the brand name like Rainbow. Rainbow is a huge brand name, and
Sure.
I think as soon as people kind of, and originally I think a lot of people did enjoy Siege. It was just a glitchy, horrible experience to play at launch. And as soon as they fixed it, it was one of those titles that they knew that it would be successful as long as they put all the resources into it, because it wasn't a niche game. It wasn't a niche genre. Like, it's a shooter, and at the end of the day, shooters are probably the most popular games in the world right now. And
there's a big difference between a game not succeeding on launch and then being successful a year later, and also having the player base is important.
Yeah.
Look, bros. There's only one rule I have for esports. I get this question all the time. What makes a good esports game? All right. And here's the truth of it. It's got to be such a painful, miserable experience to play the game that you would rather watch it. That is it. Overwatch will never be a good esport, because you watch Overwatch and you go, why am I just not playing Overwatch? League, Dota, Counter-Strike, all games where you're like, this will be fun. Then you go in and play and you're like, oh my God, I'm so fucking sad. For Honor is a very fun game, but it does have a tinge of that when you're in 1v1s and you're losing for 8 hours straight. It has that misery. So the spark is there. It just needs to get worked on. It needs to get ironed out. But the spark of complete self-deprecating misery is there, where a viewer is like, oh, I really love For Honor, but I don't want to fucking play it, for God's sake. Sorry for cursing, Sorezu. That is esport.
My God.
There's only one exception: Rocket League. Rocket League is fun to play and fun to watch. I've never seen any other game like that, but every single one answers my category. There's no esport that is a top tier one that a player doesn't stay up till 4 a.m. and say, why am I doing this? I actually hate this game. That is
I have two things. So just piggybacking off of Slacks there, what the game really needs for you to feel that sadness is a ranked Dominion queue.
Yes.
If you have ranked Dominion and you're just constantly losing to 4 stacks and your ranks dropping, and then you're like, then you get those feelings. Why the fuck am I playing this at 4 a.m.? That's really what's missing there. But Cap kind of read my mind. What I was going to say is, I think like the best hope for Honor as an esport is that the Dominion series serves as generates enough interest as like a proof of concept of like, hey, UB, please give us money for Honor 2. Like, the game has come a long way. Look, even this far into it, we're getting X thousands of viewers when we do the Dominion series streams. Like, I think, like, to me, this is like their bet of being like, look, if you just trust us with some resources, we could really blow up For Honor 2 and like make it a big thing, add new factions. Like, people are going to love the game now. It's much more fun to play. I think that's the hope for Honor as an esport in the future for sure.
I hope so. I hope they don't give up on the IP because it is probably the most original IP that they've created in like
Mhm.
last 10 years. Considering their cycle mill of open world games, it's very much a breath of fresh air in their catalog of games. So I'm hoping they do something with it.
Yeah.
I
What do
think
you
you
think,
guys all
Vividnaz? Oh,
they make really good points. Like every single one of them should be like part of the game plan going forward if you're looking for success. I was gonna ask, are there reports on like the total player base?
you can check. It's on multiple platforms now, so it's a little tougher. But I know you can check on Steam.
No one plays the game on Steam. The Steam is such a terrible representation for Honor, but I know it's healthy enough that they have a strong dev force still creating stuff for the game.
Mhm.
They don't release the numbers publicly. I don't think. But yeah, I think
Average
it's healthy
players
enough
on
that
Steam in
that
the
they can
last 30
still grow.
days is like 3,000.
It's not
That's on Steam.
it's spread
though.
out, so that shouldn't be like accurate, but I don't know,
Yeah.
like I think the jump starting it with like For Honor 2, like a super dope restart is great. Going to Sohinki's point, using this like Dominion series as a proof of concept, you can begin to like scale those numbers. Like if you look at like what we're getting now, what they had before, like on launch, and trying to capture and retain, like Cap was talking about, and then like just from like a quality perspective is something that I had mentioned before is like just you got to bring, in my perspective, some interaction between like the esport, the competitive experience, and the player base like in the game. At least make it available for them to like poke around and interact with, to bring some of those players in the game to say, hey, what's this? Hey, this is actually really cool. I don't just have to watch a YouTube video that's from like 4 months ago. I can go watch the stream and see like the latest like of like the meta, like what my favorite heroes like doing, like he's not being played, why is that happening? And then from the player experience, like an esport is not like a one-off thing in my opinion. You need to have a roadmap for it, at least like a rough roadmap, and the better roadmap you have, like the more that the players can begin to like build their future around it, not to say like they're going to rely on it solely or exclusively, um but you have a couple top dogs that are able to begin to like just do that full time, say like Clutch and maybe two players on his team and a couple from the other teams. Suddenly they're like full-time incomes because they can rely on a weekly or monthly tournament to be coming through. They know that they have a high chance of winning one of these tournaments and like gathering enough to pay their rent and all these things, plus the streaming and in between. So like as you start to build an ecosystem, things can grow around it, just kind of like a ship sinks in the water and suddenly like all this life springs up around it. So that's for Ubisoft to like build the bones that the ecosystem can grow around.
I think the
Yeah.
bridge could be there. I think you literally touched on probably the most important point, because you go from casual Dominion to all of a sudden these mirror matchups of these comp viable teams playing against each other, and I think that's kind of jarring for like the casual experience. And like I think everybody loves to hit on Fortnite. It's very much a normal thing, and but what they did was really well was like the whole Contender Cup. It became part of the game. Qualifications for these tournaments was actually the game itself. Everyone had a viable shot of doing this. And I feel like, the slow introduction it would be, okay, we're pushing for Dominion to be the ranked game mode of choice. I don't know if the player numbers will allow for this, because the MMR might be a bit skewed because of how low the player base, but you can have the sort of the ranked Dominion becoming more of a thing going on forward, and then from there spin it off to, okay, we want to do more tournaments following this sort of ranked format that we have already in game. So it's a less of a jarring jump for people to compete in these tournaments, because it is pretty jarring going from like a Dominion game that you'd play casually with your friends to straight super sweaty game mode instead of having that bridge of like the ranked climb is hard.
And
Yeah.
dude, and you guys talked about it just now, but the bridge between the esports level and the casual level, I think like smart developers, I think Warcraft was the first game to do this. They held in-game tournaments, like everything was built into the game, and they weren't like official tournaments for money, but like imagine if like the open qualifiers for Dominion series were just held in the game. It's like your team
Yeah.
can log in and queue in right now, and you sign up, you're here at this time, the game automatically puts you in a bracket, it automatically finds your next match for you, like when that stuff is like really built in is when like tons of people want to get involved, and like the feeling of like, oh, I could do it, like I could compete at the highest level, like
Yeah.
that's when like
Yeah.
more people get excited about it.
And they had the whole thing, like I know Ubisoft toys about with implementation of different features or different services within their games, and they had the whole Hyperscape Twitch thing where the Twitch viewer can sort of modify what goes on, but like even not having to integrate it within the game itself, but having sort of compatibility with like a tournament provider like Battlefire. I don't know, but it just some sort of gimmick. The thing is, there needs to be a bridge. You can't all of a sudden go from, oh, I casually play Dom series to Dominion to go into Dom series. Like I have a friend who kind of played League of Legends for so long and played the ranks so long. Eventually, he kind of got to a spot where he kind of met a few people from those days that you would play ranked with, the same people, and then formed a team, and then played in the regionals, and then moved over to like bigger things when it came to league. And it's like they have that path for how people can progress from a casual player to a ranked player to a really high level player where they can compete in, or they have opportunities to compete in all of these different tournaments just by being on the leaderboard. Because if you're in the top 200, you bet your ass that some scout will see this name and be like, all right, have we ever even spoken to this guy? Can we draft him for a team? Or maybe not even a coach. And for Honor's case, it's probably some other players being like, does anyone know this guy? Like all of a sudden he's top 30. Like let's go speak to him. Let's see if we can draft him for our team and see how it goes from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a couple people in chat are talking about the weaknesses of single pick and how it prevents the more casual players from playing their champion or their heroes. And I think eventually being able to do something like Overwatch did. Overwatch has quick play, which is single pick, but then there's a separate playlist for whatever they call it. But there's not single pick. You can have 6 Widowmakers if you want to, or whatever it is. I think implementing something like that and having a separate playlist would be a decent way to start that. But I think for the most part, if that does happen with the player base now, you're just gonna see the same 4 stacks doing that.
Yeah, and Semix, one of the Missing Bones captains, said, as a matter of fact, Legion and him use the current duels ladders to find players, and I think that's like a testament. Like ladders having this sort of ranking of players obviously makes it more competitive, but also has visibility, like includes visibility in its own, so it allows other players to discover people that they may not necessarily know from the current forums like Discord. Like maybe not everyone's on Discord that plays For Honor. Maybe not everyone is it speaks on the Reddit or whatever. It's I don't know. I just think it's a really good way of fostering this sort of competitive environment. And yes, the Dominion series are good, but it needs to be in game as well. We need to have that bridge for it to be fostered properly.
Yeah, and we know that they can do it because for ranked duels, it used to be tournaments. It wasn't just like a ranked 1v1. Whoever won it, got points. It was a full blown tournament. If you queued up for ranked, you were playing against 6. It was 6 people. I can't remember. Yeah, it was 6 people, and it was just a bracket, and whoever won, you got points. And so I know like something like that can happen in game, because that's their original idea for ranked duels. That's what it was. I never played ranked Dominion. I don't know if that's how they did it in ranked Dominion. I don't know if you played it, Vivid, or if somebody in chat can tell me if it was similar to the ranked duels
I
format.
don't think it was like that. I think it was just ranked style. They didn't even have it up for that long. I think it was a very successful venture that they did there. But then that's also because the focus of the game wasn't Dominion back then.
It would be nice to see something like that, and now to see how well it would do. I don't know if it would do much better, but maybe, especially after Dom series and everything, garnering more interest from people to be competitive. Because that's one of the problems, is that there isn't a lot of teams, and it's not that all the same 2 to 4 teams always win at each region. I mean, that is for the most part true, but there's just not a lot of consistent teams that play, especially in NA. NA is not quite a dead region, but pretty close. There's really not a lot of people who play the game in NA that's consistent. And that hurts the game as well. If not enough people play, then even if you're not like gonna beat the top people, having those teams to continue to promote the health of the game from a competitive standpoint is important.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's another thing. Ubisoft has the 18 or older age stipulation, and there are a lot of teams in the EU that are very, very good, but you can't compete because they're not old enough yet.
Yeah, but they're just covering themselves from a lot of legality stuff.
Yeah. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying it's part of the reason we don't see a lot of teams for EU.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think we pretty much covered everything in that in the last topic there. Did you guys have any kind of closing thoughts or anything that you wanted to say or touch on more on what we talked about, or even stuff we haven't talked about that has to do with Dom series, For Honor, or everything?
I'll just close out here. Thanks for having me, Sorezu. You made the show a lot better with your intelligent knowledge, and it was a lot of fun working on For Honor. Cool community, cool game. If Dobiny is the next hero, I will play this game religiously, and I will be a Dobiny spammer. That is my only announcement. Thank you, everybody, for having me. It was a joy.
Appreciate you being here, for sure.
Ditto to Slacks. Everything he said, I concur
Fuck
with.
you, Cap.
Also,
the original.
Too.
Sorry for cursing, Sorezu.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't original. Like the man who literally just Googled For Honor memes and
Shut up! Shut up!
Comes onto the show.
Why
Shut up!
Also, isn't Dobiny just a warden? Can't you just
you
play
can,
warden? And...
No, bitch, that's his helmet. Come on, the lore. Don't do this.
All right, man. All right. Okay.
It's just a warden.
I'm pretty sure he's just a warden, and you can get his armor as well in the game. Or close to
no,
it.
brother. Okay, no,
Okay.
no. Dobiny is in the game during the practice thing, or at least he was until the last update, the Apollyon update. And then they removed him from his chair, and he's in hiding again from the Blackstone Legion. Okay. Okay, and he was a fucking lawbringer, not a warden, you scumbag idiots! Jesus!
Nice. I'm looking at him right now. He's a warden.
That's a warden cosmetic, okay? You can dress up like a fucking pony. It doesn't mean someone's a pony. Sorry for cursing, Sorezu.
But he's not using pole arm,
He's a lawbringer, you scum. But let's continue. Thank you for having me on the show.
Sorry for swearing.
Yeah, sorry for cursing. Thank you for having me on the show.
Sorry for cursing, Sorezu.
Oh Lord, it's cursed. He's cursed.
Oh man. Okay. Is anybody else that want to say anything before we go? Go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to thank the For Honor community for being so kind. Like I really did feel like it wouldn't be welcome that I was on the broadcast, because I figured there's probably so many community members that to me, I'm like, they deserve it more than me, because they've been in they didn't give up on the game after 6 months. So I definitely really appreciate the warm welcome, and I'm excited to see where the game goes. I'm excited the game, I've just been streaming the game since Dominion series, because it's so fun to me right now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope the Dominion series does well when it comes back, and I hope it's enough that they can get resources to maybe launch a new game or really I don't know. I don't think there's a way for them to do it with the current For Honor, but if they had some big push where all of a sudden a bunch of streamers are playing it or something, who knows? But I hope the game continues to grow. I hope they finally add a pirate faction, because obviously there should be pirates from the beginning. They added the Wulin. The Wulin characters are cool, but I want pirates.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pirates.
Yep. I had a good time casting and having a great time playing, so I'm going to keep playing. And if I get invited back to do any casting, I'll probably be there if the schedule has no conflicts. And you boys are welcome to join in the party. I'd love to play with you guys again. And hopefully maybe some other people can join that party as we go forward.
For me, it's like I will, as long as For Honor lives, I will be here. You already know.
Wow.
it's been like a thing I come back to every few months, and it's been like that since 2017. And I think I've said this too many times in multiple casts that I always appreciate For Honor community and like what it's given me, and the kind of void it fills in my ever slumber life. No, but in all seriousness, it's always a blast. No matter how many times I get to interact with the community, I always enjoy it, and I always enjoy the streams. And you know, I want everyone to remember to always stay vivid, always.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Okay. Did you guys want to shout out your Twitters, Twitch accounts, anything like that you want people can follow you at to keep up with your content and what you guys do?
Follow me at Dota Capitalist. That is DOTA Capitalist.
Emphasis on the capitalist.
Capitalist.
Yeah, everyone,
Alright.
follow Dota Capitalist.
Thank you.
That's a shout out.
You won't find a Twitter account there.
Yeah, you will now, you idiot.
That's my favorite thing about the Dota community is that everyone just calls each other an idiot. Like no matter what, everyone's a fucking idiot. Sorry for swearing.
Sorry for swearing, Sorezu.
Oh, friggin' morons.
Morons, all of you. Okay, so that's where you can find Cap. All right, yeah. If you guys, I can also put it in Twitch chat as well, and this will go on YouTube, so I'll put it in the description so you guys can find them on Twitter and on Twitch. I don't really have an Instagram, so if you guys have Instas, I don't follow them. So
Cool.
Okay.
there's
Follow me on Insta.
yeah.
Hit me up on that Instagram.
Yeah. All right. So if you are watching this on YouTube, appreciate you watching the entire thing. We've been at it for a little over 2 hours, or a little over 2 hours. So we appreciate it. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We definitely appreciate that. Hit the bell so you know when I'm posting another podcast, because that's kind of what it is. It's an archive for my podcast. So appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Sorezu, will you curse just one time before it's over?
Yeah.
I probably will not.
Just one.
So this is something that they always want me to do, especially Rawit. He just wants me to curse, and it's not a thing I do, you know. And he just tells me, just say it already. He's like, no, I'm not going to.
What's the worst naughty word you'd be
Oh, I
willing
mean,
to
I've
say
swore
for our
before.
team?
I've swore. I've run most of the gamut when I'm upset, but I try my best not to do that.
Would you say booty?
I mean, yes, I have said booty before.
Will you say it now?
I just did. Wait.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Wait.
He did it!
Wait.
Wait.
Relax.
Yeah, relax, man. Relax.
We're hitting spicy territory.
Yeah, it's spicy territory. All right, so that's gonna be it for us. I want to try and find somebody to host in For Honor that has less viewers than me. So if somebody has a recommendation for that, I first need to see how many viewers I have. Okay.
Go live.
Yeah, Slacks, go live. More lore, For Honor lore videos.
No, God, I have a child. I'm not going live, you scumbags. You go live. I gotta go.
I am live. What do you
feed My
mean?
baby. My fat baby is never satisfied. That obese child.
Wow. Okay. Very good.
Play this back for good old T-Rex someday.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten a couple follower.
Peace.
I've gotten some sub notifications and follower notifications from this podcast for sure.
And you
So-
wouldn't even say booty for all of that hard
What do you mean?
work.
I did say it. I'm so confused, man. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna host this guy. This guy has 2 viewers. Tierney670. This guy's a
Hell
monster.
yeah.
This guy is a monster at the game. Host Eris? Wait,
Alright,
who's?
I gotta go. Thanks for
Okay.
having me on.
Bye.
Yeah. See you guys later.
I'm gonna leave too. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Stay vivid, folks.
It's just me. Everything's so quiet now. Holy moly. Wow. Okay. No, we're just gonna stick to this guy. I don't know who this Eris kid is. Who's Eris? Okay, here we go. Eris, Twitch. Oh, avoiding the puddle. I'm not hosting avoiding the puddle. No shot. No shot, bucko. Somebody in For Honor, Setmix. Come on, man. All right, thank you guys for watching and coming by. I hope you enjoyed. I do apologize for the snafu at the beginning with the internet, but yeah, that's I'm glad we got through it. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Be sure to follow the stream if you want to keep up with me and the podcast and everything. You can also follow me on Twitter at Sorezu5. Yeah, so let's raid this guy. And before you go, just tell him hello and tell him he's nuts at the game, even if he's trash. Make his day. He's got 2 viewers.
This phone paired with 5G ultra wide.
This phone. Shut up, Samsung Galaxy. You're trash. Okay, here we go. Stay vivid, everybody. Stay vivid. Look for this to be on YouTube, hopefully within the next couple of days. I don't have an editor, so here we are. Yeah. I will see you guys next time.